This is the Bambu Studio tutorial for the Fidget Spinner project. In this tutorial, you will set up the machine preferences for our printers. You will set up your filament selection. You will import your step file, and then you'll set up multicolor printing by layer. So let's begin by opening Bambu Studio. When you open Bambu Studio, you're likely to be presented with this screen here. This is the printer selection. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and hit Clear All. That's going to get rid of any printers that may have been selected by default or by anybody else who might have been messing around with the software. Okay, at a minimum, we want to scroll down and we want to choose the Bambu Lab H2S. That's the printers that we have here in the building. So I'm going to check that one off. Additionally, if I scroll up, you'll see I have the X1 Carbon and the X1E selected. We have some of those in the building next door. So if we have to do if we have to do a lot of overflow printing, if we can't get all of it done on the three printers that we have in this room, okay, it's nice to have these kind of in our back pocket at the ready. So with those three printers selected, I'm going to hit confirm. The next thing you're probably going to see is you're going to see your filament selection. So in your filament selection window, once again, we're going to hit clear all. Okay, I want to scroll down, and I'm probably going to have to scroll over to find Bambu PLA Basic. That is the printer filament we're going to be working with. We do have access to other filaments, and we can purchase other filaments. All right, we can get into carbon fibers and glass reinforced and nylons and ABS and all these things. But for now, as a starting point, we're going to start with just PLA Basic. All right, so that should be the only one I have selected. I'm going to hit confirm. With that done, the next thing I want to do is I want to come up here and I want to make sure that I have the H2S selected as my system preset. I want to make sure that my build plate that I'm using is the textured PEI plate. That's what we have in those machines right now. And then I want to come down here where it says diameter. I want to set my nozzle diameter to 0.4. It's possible these are already set for you, but if they're not, we want to make sure that we're all working from the same settings. Our flow is going to be a standard flow nozzle. I do have some high flow nozzles, but we're not using those for this. If we were doing something really big that used a lot of plastic, we might want to use a high flow nozzle and a larger diameter, all right, because it could print faster. But in this case, 0.4 is really the standard nozzle diameter that you're going to get with almost any 3D printer you buy, all right? So now that that's done, I'm going to come down to my project filaments here, and you probably only have one filament, and this is going to be a two-color job. So we're going to hit the plus symbol and add a second filament color. Now, to set up your filament colors, I'm going to click on this little swatch to the left, and I'm going to choose the filament color I want. Keep in mind, I do not have any of these gradient colors. So these colors that go from like white to red or from, blue to pink, I don't have any of those. Okay, so don't select those. What I do have is I have a lot of these solid colors. So black, gold, turquoise, I have a little bit of turquoise, silver, I have the darker blue, I have red, I have the maroon red, I have yellow, I have a pink-ish color that's called flesh. I have orange, green, and I think I have some brown. I do have purple as well. So if there's a color you're curious about, you're not sure if I have it, or maybe it got used up, okay, check before you make this selection. Okay, so for my first color, I'm going to use the red, and I'm going to click OK. For my second color, I'm going to click on this swatch, whatever color it is, and in this case, I'm going to choose gold. And then I'm going to click OK. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my printer profile. So this print profile or system preset sets up pretty much all of the settings I would need to run the job, all right, but at different layer heights. So I can use a really slow, really refined, high quality 0.08 millimeter, which is going to take forever, or I can use 0.24, which for what we're doing is going to be the fastest I can do with this 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and it's going to have a lower resolution, so the quality is not as good. Does that matter for us? No, for what we're printing as a fidget spinner, this will be more than adequate layer height, and it's going to mean we can print these quickly. With a full class of students that need to print, okay, speed is definitely going to be part of our equation here. So 0.24 millimeter standard is what we're doing here. And then let's show you how to bring in your geometry, right? So we have everything set up for the printer, the nozzles, the filaments we want to use, the layer heights we want to use. Now you need to know how to bring in your geometry. So if I'm on the Prepare tab, I'm going to select the geometry I have here right now, and I'm going to delete it so that you can see how we bring it in. Okay, when you first start off, this is probably going to be your default. If you've grabbed this and moved this around, all right, you can always go up to your View menu and go to Default View. Okay, and it gets you right back to that same view. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Import, and I'm going to import a step file. So you can see my step files are listed here in this list. Okay, now if you didn't export a step file out of Onshape, ask one of your classmates, ask your teacher. Okay, that's not a hard thing to do. It's pretty quick and easy. So here's my step file that I downloaded from Onshape. I'm going to hit Open. This is going to ask you, how do you want the slicing software to interpret the geometry that you have? So I'm going to hit OK. And if you want that to not come up again, you can check off where it says Don't Show Again. And then it's just going to use those same default selections every time. So now I have it in here. I'm going to zoom in by using the scroll wheel on my mouse. If I want to orbit, I can click with my left button anywhere that's not the object. If I click on the object, it's going to drag the object around. If I click on anywhere else, it will orbit my screen, allowing me to kind of rotate to all these different views. Okay. If I right click and drag, it allows me to pan, which means I can kind of drag my my build plate around. All right. So let's go back to the default view, zoom in a little bit, and then we'll pan this down. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is sitting flat on the build plate. With it selected, I'm going to come up here to lay flat or lay on face, and I'm just going to choose the top face. Okay, in this case, the top face is the most strategic one to lay down on the build plate or the bottom. In either case, it will print nicely with that orientation. What I don't want is I don't want it up on edge like this. Okay, that will not print nicely. Okay, and if I lay it like this, I don't need any supports. And if any of you have done any 3D printing before, you know that supports uses extra material. It usually impacts your surface quality, and it generally is undesirable if you can get away without it. So now that I have that laid down the way I want, I'll go back up and click on that again and get out of that tool. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Slice my plate. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and slice it up and slice it into the different layers that it needs to print it. All right, so each of these is a separate toolpath for the nozzle to follow along. Okay, and you can see as I scrub down with this, all right, it gives me the chance to preview each layer. I have a total of 29 layers. So at this point, what I want to do is I want to set up my multicolor. Ignore the fact that there's a color here already. All right, I'm going to get rid of that color change. Okay. So since there's 29 layers, there's two ways I can do this. I can come down halfway, which is at like layer 14 or 15. All right, and I can set up my color change there, which gives me a half and half. Or I can do what I like to call the Oreo method. Okay, an Oreo cookie has a top layer, a bottom layer, and filling in between. So that's what I'm going for. So in this case, I have 29 layers. So I'm going to split it up into equal thirds roughly. So I'm going to come down to layer 9 to begin with, and I'm going to do my first color change there. So with this on layer 9, I'm going to right click on the plus symbol, go to change filament, and I'm going to choose filament number 2. Okay. And you can only choose the filaments that you've predefined. All right, so if you don't have your colors set up, then hit the plus symbol, set up your second color. Now I'm going to drag this up to layer 20, and I'm going to right click again, go to change filament, and I'm going to choose back to filament 1. So now if I scrub this all the way up, you're going to see that it doesn't look any different. And the reason why is because I didn't reslice. I made a bunch of changes, so now I need to hit slice again. Okay, when I do, it's going to apply all of those changes, okay, and it's going to give me a summary up here. Now yours might not say summary, yours might say filament and give you all of this information about how much filament it's using and the flushing parameters, and so how much it used to flush the nozzle out, how much is getting used on the purge tower. Okay, for right now, I don't care about any of that information. Okay, what I care about is how much time it's going to take. So this is going to take just over 25 minutes, and that's fine. I'll send this back to summary. You'll notice It shows me it's going to take 25 minutes. And at the current cost of filament from Bambu, it's estimating that this is a 27-cent print. Okay. So now that that's done and I have my preview, all right, I'm going to rotate this around. Some things you want to watch out for. See this purge tower back here? Okay, it's right where I want it to be. It's out of the way. But what if it wasn't? Like, what if you came in here and the purge tower was right in the middle of it? Because I have seen that. All right, so if the purge tower is in the way, you have two options. Either A, move the purge tower or move the piece, or B, you could just go up here to auto arrange. So hit auto arrange and then arrange, and it moves it out of the way for us. Now, since I made a move, guess what? All right, since I made a move, I need to reslice. So I'm going to hit slice plate. Now it looks good. Everything's sliced. It's still 25 minutes and 12 seconds, so that's fine. So now what I want to do is I want to save this file, and I want to post it to the Google Classroom so that way I can send it to the printer for you on your behalf. So to save it, we're going to go to File, and we're going to save Project As. And then I want you to save it with the year, 2025, your name, okay, I'm going with Senior Tech Ed, and then what the project is. In this case, it's the spinner, okay. You'll save that to your Downloads folder, and then you'll go into Google Classroom. You'll find the assignment in Unit 3 where it asks you for your 3MF file, and then you will attach this or upload it to there. I would also recommend you upload a copy of your step file. That way, if anything goes wrong, we have access to both. It also means it's all saved to the cloud for you. All right. So hopefully that gets you set up. You have the colors that you want, and you're ready to go, and we'll get it printed straight away for you. So good luck.